Let's talk a little BYU wide receivers, and it's headlined by two guys that I think it's very clear they're going to be the headliners for BYU wide receiver. One of which is it's not Samson Nacua, Puka Nacua, excuse me, his younger brother of Samson. Puka Nacua was named yesterday to the 2022 Blitnikoff Award preseason watch list by the Tallahassee Quarterback Football Foundation. Congratulations to Puka on that award. It recognizes college football's outstanding FBS pass catcher, regardless of position. Could be a wide receiver, a tight end, slot back, or a running back. Of course, Nacua had a breakout campaign last year, especially down the stretch. He is poised, I think, to really come into his own this year for BYU. I think he could do some very special things. The good news is he's got a nice running mate opposite of him in Gunnar Romney, the redshirt senior, had 34 receptions for 594 yards and 3 touchdowns in 10 games a year ago. Dealing with numerous knee injuries, battled through those, was absolutely incredible in doing that. The stats for Puka Nacua: 43 receptions, 805 yards, and 6 touchdowns. So between the two of them, that is nearly 1,300 yards of offense, 8 touchdowns. And I would expect this year, you're going to see those numbers go up even more if both of these guys are as good as I believe that they can be for BYU. The good news is they are not just the only 2 wide receivers on this list. I am expecting Keanu Hill to take another step forward in his progression here for BYU. Very excited to see him show what he can do. The later stages of last season, he started to really come on. He finished the year with 18 receptions, 343 yards, and 2 touchdowns in 13 games played last year. So those 3, in my opinion, are going to be your top 3 wide receivers for BYU. I don't think I'm saying anything revolutionary. I'm not breaking any news. And I think all 3 of them have to expect and have the mindset they are going to be the lead dogs for BYU, especially if a guy like Isaac Rex is injured early on this year at the tight end position, obviously. Dallin Holker is going to take some reps away. I understand that. But if Isaac Rex is limited to any form or fashion, the wide receiving core last year had a very good season. They got a lot of action, and I expect that those 3 players, Puka Nacua, not Samson Nacua, I got to get Samson out of my head, Gunnar Romney, as well as Keanu Hill, will be your leading 3 receivers for BYU. That's what I would bet on this year. The good news is behind them, you've got a lot of different guys that have different types of skill sets and are looking to obviously make their imprint on the BYU football program. One of which is Brayden Cosper, the redshirt junior, 6'3", 205 pounds. He has dealt with, I believe, at least 2 season-ending injuries during his time at BYU. He missed the entire season last year due to complications from a broken arm suffered in training camp. He obviously will be hoping to have another, I guess, re-debut in a BYU uniform. When we've seen him on the field, he's produced at a pretty decent clip. The biggest thing is just not being able to stay on the field very often. Other guys to keep an eye on include the likes of Chase Roberts and Kody Epps. Both of them are freshmen coming into this year. I believe, both of them redshirt freshmen. Kody Epps appeared in 6 games a year ago with 6 games in 2020, missed all of the season last year, but he had 18 rushing yards in 2020. Chase Roberts will be making his debut, hopefully, for BYU after being on the scout team for most of last year. He, in his prep career, 3,709 receiving yards and 40 touchdowns. He was a prolific wide receiver at American Fork High School. Many of you might have seen him play during his prep days. He has got the size to really make an imprint on BYU's wide receiving core. The size that they lost with guys like Samson Nacua and Neil Pau'u exiting the program last year. He is 6'4", 195 pounds. The funny thing about Kody Epps, he's kind of opposite of that. Kody Epps is listed at 5'11", 185 pounds, but he was crazy prolific during his time at the prep level at Mater Dei down there in California. So those are the 2, I guess, highlight freshmen I would be pointing at for you guys to keep an eye on this year. Kody Epps wears the number 0. Chase Roberts wears the number 27. I would get familiar with both of those numbers because I think behind those top 3 that we already talked about, as well as Brayden Cosper, that probably makes up the vast majority of your rotation, at least in my book, going into training camp. Now, there are a number of other names on this roster. Could any one of them pop up and all of a sudden take reps away from one of these guys? Sure, but they have the odds, I feel like, stacked against them. You have guys like Terrence Fall, 6'3", 185-pound redshirt freshman. He appeared in 4 games last year, kept his redshirt intact. And he is a guy that didn't play a lot of football growing up. And many of you might recall his backstory. Grew up in France, of all places, decided he wanted to play American football, made the move across the pond to play prep football here in the United States. Still very much a raw player, but he's starting to develop. And what I heard about him towards the tail end of last year was he's finally starting to look more natural. as a wide receiver. So that's some progress on his front. He's still got time ahead of him to make an imprint on BYU's program. You have a walk-on veteran in Talmadge Gunther, 6 foot, 195 pounds, a redshirt sophomore, played in all 13 games, mainly as a special teamer for BYU, forced a fumble versus Arizona State. He is a guy that obviously be looking to show what he can do in training camp. Alongside him is another walk-on in Hobbs Nyberg, served as the primary punt returner for BYU the past 2 seasons. He'll be looking to take on more reps as a wide receiver because you don't want to spend your entire career fielding punts. You'd like to be more of a wide receiver. And then the other guy to keep an eye on as a walk-on that has appeared in games is Tanner Wall, 6'1", 175-pound redshirt freshman. He saw action in 2 games in 2021, mainly on special teams. So those are your walk-on veterans that have been around the program. But then also incoming to the program is an absolute influx of talent from a very wide range of different skill sets. You have Kyson Hall, the younger brother of BYU wide receiver Jaron Hall, a prolific wide receiver in high school at Maple Mountain down there in the Spanish Fork area. I had somebody get mad at me when I said Maple Mountain was in Mapleton the other day or something like that, or it might have been Salem Hills. Regardless, you guys know where I'm talking about. I apologize on that behalf, but he's a very, very good wide receiver. Could we see him catching passes from his brother? We'll see. It'll be interesting there. Dom Henry coming in from Florida, 5'11", 180-pound freshman, played at Nice High School in St. Augustine, Florida, was the best receiver in the Florida prep ranks a year ago, a guy that BYU discovered, got to come as a preferred walk-on. I would expect he is going to make an imprint on BYU this year, just simply due to the fact he's prolific. You do not do what guys like this do at the prep level without having some skills, and BYU hopes that their gamble on him, bringing him to BYU, will pay off. They also have Parker Kingston, a local product from Roy High School up there in northern Utah, 6 foot, 175 pounds. Parker Kingston was maybe the 4th fastest guy in the entire state last year at the prep level. He is an absolute burner, played quarterback, punt returner, some running back during his high school days. He will play wide receiver for BYU, and I think he's going to impress some folks. He has got legit wheels. Will that translate into early playing time for him? We'll have to see. And then the other incoming freshman to keep an eye on is a very familiar last name in his own right. It's Preston Rex, the younger brother of BYU tight end Isaac Rex. Preston was originally slated to play defense when he originally committed to BYU as a prep athlete, served a mission for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. He is back now, 6 foot, 187 pounds. He's a very much a different body, obviously, than his brother, who is 6'6", 260 pounds. But Preston Rex, he's got the skills that pay the bills, I feel like, in many ways, and they're going to give him his crack first off on offense. If it doesn't work out for him offensively, very quickly, I could see him being flipped back over to defense and playing safety for BYU because he's got the ability to contribute in a number of different ways. So there's some very, very good talent, good athletes on this roster, both the incoming freshmen, the established veterans. I actually forgot about a name here. I'm just looking over my list. I forgot about Cade Moore, another prep athlete, a walk-on who's been around BYU for 3 years now. He was a member of the scout team in 2021. Cade Moore, and I got a funny nickname for him. He is what I like to call the scout team legend. I have people who are at BYU football practice who continue to tell me, dude, there's this number 89. His name's Cade Moore. He just makes every catch known to man. Does that mean he's ever going to work out where he's going to join the regular rotation for BYU at wide receiver? Who knows? But he is a scout team legend. There are worse things to be. He's a very good player, was a very good player at Lehigh High School. He was a contemporary of Dallin Holkers at Lehigh, a very prolific receiver at the prep level. Will he finally get a chance to show what he can do this year for BYU? We'll see. But I think your top 6 receivers, it's very clear. You have a clear line, I feel like, of separation of the top 6 guys. Obviously, your top 3, Gunnar Romney, Puka Nacua, Keanu Hill. The next 3, I feel like, Brayden Cosper, Kody Epps, Chase Roberts. And then beyond that, are any of these impact freshmen coming in and going to be able to make the move up the depth chart? Can one of these walk-ons who's been around for a time make a stake for extra playing time? But the nice part is, if you are a guy who wants to see BYU's wide receivers show well, especially after losing the likes of Samson Nacua as well as Neil Pau'u a year ago, well, sure looks like they've got a lot of guys that are going to have that opportunity this year. And the good news also is moving forward, whoever is going to be the quarterback after Jaren Hall, the post-Jaren Hall era for BYU, a lot of these receivers are freshmen, sophomores, or juniors. The only guy I believe that's a senior on this roster, I'm just checking over real quick. Yeah, it's Gunnar Romney. He is the only senior. Now, Puka Nacua, it wouldn't surprise me if he had a very good year this year, if he were to decide it's time for me to pursue my professional fortunes at the NFL level. But whoever takes over as the quarterback after Jaren Hall, Jacob Conover is the guy I would tab right now to be that guy. Well, he's going to have a lot of talent to work with in practice this year, and obviously heading into Big 12 play in 2023, that wide receiver position group should be a strength once again for BYU. So a lot of good things happening for the wide receiving core. The nice part is you have a clear top rotation of, I think, 6 guys who, barring something unforeseen, health, grades, all that type of stuff, they should be the lead guys for BYU wide receiver. They include some intrigue with some young guys who are unproven, but also some proven vets who I think in both Gunnar Romney and Puka Nacua's case, either one of them or possibly both of them could make a run at 1,000-yard receiving season if they're able to get the requisite touches. You obviously have to have the ball thrown your way. You have to avoid double teams, all of that to get to that level. But I believe both of them have that capability. So it's a very, very fun wide receiving core, I feel like, for BYU. And we're going to have to see them on the football field. I cannot wait for training camp to get underway at BYU. It's not far off.